When we print our patterns out, it comes out in sometimes one piece of paper, but I'm going to show you the size D, which comes out on 2 pieces of paper. And you can see that right here there's a little circle with 1 and 3, and on the other page there's a circle with 2 and 4. What I do is I fold one of my sheets back and I line up that circle so that it looks perfect, and I want to line up the bottom of the shirt and the top shoulder there, and then I'll just grab some tape and tape it. You can use whatever kind of tape you want. This happens to be what I have handy at the moment. So I put this on right over that fold and bring it right down to the bottom. Doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to hold it. And snip that. Then I take some paper scissors and I cut all around the edge of the template, right on that line. And with the templates, as they come off the computer, the outer aspect of the template is your cutting line for your fabric. So if you were to trace this onto the wrong side of your fabric, you would use that as a cutting line, and you would sew 1/4 of an inch inside that line when you sewed the 2 pieces, the top and the lining of the shirt together. Just go right around the shoulder tab here and a straight line. Now you'll see it says here to place this straight line on the fold, and that's going to end up being the center back of your shirt, this part placed on the fold. I feel it's easier for me to have a full out template rather than a template that has to be placed on the fold. So I print 2 of these, and I will put one up and one flipped over and tape them together, and this is what I get. So this is a full size template for D shirt. I also prefer to have my line be my sewing line rather than my cutting line. I've learned from teaching sewing for many years that people can sew more accurately if you give them a line to sew on rather than telling them to sew a certain distance in from the edge of the fabric, especially when you're going around curves. Some people have a lot of trouble with that. I think I might be one of them. So how do you make a sewing line template? What I do is I take 2 pencils, and these are just 2 mechanical pencils, and I tape them together with Scotch tape right here. And the 2 points are going to be about 1/4 of an inch apart. So if I take this template, which is full size, and I put one of my pencils right on the edge of the fabric, or on the edge of the template rather, and I trace around the edge, I hope you can see this, I will get a pencil line right there that's 1/4 of an inch away. And it's gonna look to some of you who may quilt like it's too much. But if I take my ruler and I measure from the outside of the shirt to that line, it is 1/4 of an inch. It's not a scant 1/4 of an inch that we use in quilting, but it's a regular 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to continue around this template, tracing with my pencil all the way around, and I just need a line that I can see. It doesn't have to be really dark, just a line that I can see. And I'm going to cut on that line all the way around the whole template. When I finish, it will look like this. It's just a little bit smaller than the full size that I started with. And if I lay one on top of the other, my seam line template is blue and my full size is white, and you can see I just trimmed off 1/4 of an inch. Now when I go to make my shirt, I'm going to use this template, the seam line template, and I'm going to place it on the wrong side of my cotton fabric. This fabric happens to be directional, and I'm going to make sure that my shoulders are at the top of the print so that all the objects on the print come out right side up when the shirt is completed. I'm going to take my Pilot pen, oh, I'm sorry, it's a zebra pen, it's not a Pilot, zebra, and it's called a 402 7mm. It's from the F series, and it's a ballpoint pen. It's permanent, and we use it to mark the sizes on our satin tags. It also marks fabric beautifully, and it leaves a nice permanent line that doesn't show through to the other side, and it doesn't run when you wash it. So it's pretty much the only pen that I use on my shirts. So I'm just going to take that pen now and start to trace around my template. I have cut this particular template out of a file folder, which makes a nice stiff template to cut around. You can also use template plastic. You can also use poster board. I often use that. Whatever you have that's a little heavier than regular printer paper fabric, or paper rather, is good. So now I've got that traced out. And I usually, way down at the bottom, put the size shirt with my pen just in case I forget. So here, I've marked a little D right there. I hope you can see that. And so here's my shirt. I'll then take my flannel fabric that I'm going to use on this shirt, and I will again check and see if there's a right side up, and place it down on my table here. I don't think it matters which way this fabric goes, so I'm going to place my fabric right on top, smooth it out, feels pretty good. we go. There, that looks good. Now, I like to, at this point, iron the fabrics together. It seems to give them a good marriage, so to speak. That way I'm sure both fabrics are nice and flat, they're pressed, and they're kind of hugging each other, and that's what I like. So I'll set my iron back down, and then I set about to pin the two fabrics together. And I like to pin every place there's a curve. So that's going to be at the shoulder points, the shoulder tabs, and do that for the front tabs and the back. And I'll throw a couple of pins along the base here and the corner over on the left and corner over on the right. And I like to also pin at the base of the armhole, which is here. The other armhole here. I like to put a pin at the base of the neck. And at this little curve in the front on both sides. So that's my pins. I have a total in this shirt of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pins. Then I take my fabric scissor and I really rough cut the shirt out. I make sure I leave at least 1/4 inch seam allowance. But I'm not fussy. I'm very casual. It's a very rough cut. I don't spend any time on it whatsoever. Guess I didn't have the backing in the scissors, so I'll trim that away. And I'll trim away over here a little bit. I can get that into the camera mode. And this is what I take to the sewing machine. So now I'm ready to go to the machine, and I'm going to stitch on this line that I drew. And I'll see you at the sewing machine.